to watch you. Yeah, you're so well prepared. You have great technique and really fun. So let's dig in on. Let's go back on something and rehearse a spot. So can you think of a spot where?
Yeah, actually, I can think of
that you want it
couple.
to go a little differently.
Yeah. So there's a part I want to hear. In measure 4 before 100, so measure 96. Can I hear horn 4, which I'm playing? Trombone 1, and we don't have a bass sax. Oh, here you go. We have a bass sax. So I really want to hear this underlying eighth note part. So you have everyone else goes 1, 2, and you have 1 and 2 right there, right before we go back to the main melody. So that's horn 4, trombone 1, bari sax. And we can just literally play that one measure. 1 and 2, boom. Ready?
Okay, what bar was it again?
Oh, 96.
96, okay.
Everyone else has this dotted eighth, 16th, eighth note rhythm. You're the only ones that have eighth, quarter. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Now that we know where it is, let's try it again. Ready, go. Good. Everyone play that one measure. So the measure.
Let me give you a suggestion. Put it a little more into context for them.
So okay.
So go.
Let's go to 90.
Maybe not quite that
95.
far back. Yeah, 90 or even 93.
Let's go 2 before 95. So right at 93. Ready?
And of course, she's putting you under pressure to do this. But make sure that your head is up, that you're not talking to the score, you're talking to the ensemble. This, we're all guilty of this, usually about 95% of the time, okay? And so just having your head up to talk to, even if it takes an extra second of they talk, that's okay, but make sure you are talking to the ensemble and not to be further the score.
Okay. Sir?
One other question. Why did you want to reverse? What is it about that line?
This line is unlike what you've heard rhythmically, and it's from your lower people that's supporting, and everyone else has a descending line. This line's ascending, and it's kind of buried under all of everything else.
Okay.
So to me, that's kind of the hidden gem line,
You think about a much shorter way of saying it.
because it's different.
Whether percussion section or goes, they give this long explanation from the conductor, and they say, "Do you want it louder or softer?"
Yeah.
So to lead with that, and as I say in the beginning, you bury the lead. The reason you have to play that line is because you want to hear more of that.
Yeah.
And so just say, guys, you may not realize this, but there's this different voice, and I'd like to hear more of that. But to make sure that's clear right up front, and then do the other stuff that you do. But again, always make sure your players know why you're rehearsing. Okay.
It's very possible they thought that you thought that they were playing it wrong, right? And then they may play it differently than they did before. When all you could say is, "Let's take it there, play it louder."
Like to hear more of that line.
Simply put like that.
Okay.
All right, and just one other thing, and then I'll let you get right back into it. The first time you counted them off,
It was too long.
you went, middle school, ah, right? 1, 2, here we go, right?
I'm working on that issue with another conductor.
Good for you, man.
Oh.
And then by the third time, it's like, oh yeah. Boom, right? Okay, how about, you want to do 90 with everybody?
That'd be great.
Or, sorry, I guess 89 is really the start of that phrase.
Yeah, everyone, let's start at 89. Ready? Make sure you come in with the flute. It's okay. I was just like shrill.
Since you're stopping, I got one more thing. And this is really very precious. Is there a difference in this piece before 81 and after 81?
Yes,
What is the difference?
they're in the sunlight. They've come out from the darkness.
Okay.
They hope.
You kind of look the same as the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, and I think even some of the things that you're actually doing so much better about, you can actually show a hopefulness a little bit more, because the
body language is almost the same as before 81, okay? And I think that would empower some of them to bring out these lines almost without you having to do that, okay? The other thing you're doing a very good job is your face is reacting really well when you hear something incorrect, so you know this in your head, okay? They know that you know that they made a mistake, okay? That's also a very powerful thing to do, but go ahead and stop right away and fix it right then, okay? Like I said,
Okay,
One other follow-up on that, so we're all tripping.
I know. So we're so excited to jump in. Go ahead.
You know, I was noticing what Dr. Belser was talking about, that your face didn't really change when you went into the dangerous mountain until like 8 bars from the end. And something happened that made you smile. And I thought, there it is! You know, there's this great moment. And I would love to have seen it right away, but it just was so expressive and so positive. So absolutely, use that tool.
you were correct when you told me an hour ago what this is all about. So sure.
So that's 89 for everyone. Ready?
It's almost like Shawshank Redemption. Seriously, they reacted to that. Well, sorry.
That's great. No, so what I was going to say earlier, and you did such a good job just now of acknowledging the trombones in that exact spot that you rehearsed. So this is another thing that we as directors often will do. So we fix something, right? Rehearse. We go back, add it back into the context. And before we can even get to the spot that you rehearsed, you hear something else. And then you stop and do that other thing, which is what happened. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So be sure that when you put it back into context that you actually get to the spot for which you had spent that time rehearsing. And we've all experienced that as players, right? You're so excited to get to the point where you just were, oh yeah, we just fixed that, we're gonna get to it, and then the conductor cuts it off, you know, you get frustrated, and we didn't get there. So you did a great job of acknowledging it that second time around. Excellent. Let's pick a different spot.
Okay.
Actually, wait a minute, sorry, before you do that. The last note, sorry, the very last note, and this was the same with Sherry. I felt this the same way, that very last note, when you get, you've arrived, the big grand finale last note of this movement, I just feel like there's got to be a little bit more motion through the note to let it grow and continue. Instead, it's this amazing climax, right? And we get to that final major chord, it's glorious. And to just sit like this, you can hear in the players, too. There's just like, ba, as opposed to growing and then release the sound. Try that for me.
Okay.
How about just pick up to 105 or just right at 105?
We'll start right at on the downbeat of 105.
I don't know. Maybe that's too dramatic. It's supposed to be in time. What do you guys think? Good length?
I think a little stretch is okay.
Just a little.
Just to toss another idea out.
Yeah.
Is try to see if you can get to hold the last note and sustain the intensity without actually crescendo. Okay? Just try that and maybe stretch a little bit longer this time. But sometimes, because I hear what you're saying about decay, but it's not like those are the only two options, getting softer and getting louder.
Right, exactly.
Just sustained intensity on a note like this is really exciting, without having necessarily a big crescendo.
And the reason they crescendo is because they did two motions. You did static and then move.
That's right.
If you just move continually, that'll keep them from being crescendo. But but you don't have to go too high. You know, but just a slight motion will sustain it. So,
Good, let's start at 105. Great. I wrote this down. Let's.
Remember, think about what you want, why you're going back to it, and be specific about what you want to finish.
Let's go to measure 17. So let's work on the rhythm. Da, 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 da. So I want you to think about the 30-second notes as pickups into the quarter note on beat 2. So, and everyone has this at some point for the most part. Da, 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 da. Right now we're kind of stretching it and we're trying to make it really rhythmically intact. I want you to actually like use it as a pickup into the next note. So you hear da, 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 da. So we want to really head for clarity. So let's start right at measure 17. It's going to be alto sax, then eventually go through tenor sax. Ready? And make sure it's like F sharp, not F natural.
is this as loud as the end of the pieces?
This is forte, but no. But no.
Maybe you need to show it, it's not quite as loud.
Okay. Ready? Play especially tenor on that third one that you played. F, G, A, B natural. That one kind of lost the rhythmic clarity of the other one. Bum, ba-da-da. You want me to keep going or what?
Yeah, keep on.
Okay.
And then I'll say it. Go ahead.
Ready? Let's start right there again. 17. Ready? Way better. Thank you. That was great.
Good, yeah, and time descending.
Good. Sorry, the tonality is kind of throwing me off with the second to first a little bit, but I mean, rhythmically, the first one was great. I think we definitely go back and work on make sure it's consistent every time. And then eventually we'll add in percussion who do the same thing, and then everyone else who has that.
Yeah, good. So remember, you went after it. You told them it was about the rhythm,
Yeah.
right? And acting as a pickup. So give that specific feedback about that. Yeah, there's got some intonation problems, or maybe there's some other things, maybe volume problems, but you were very good at being specific of what you wanted. So then be specific with your feedback.
Yeah.
Right? So talk directly to that. All right? One last thing. You can, how about adding, go ahead. Yeah.
Moshe, it's great that you're singing for the group, and that kind of modeling is fantastic, but when you sing, I don't know if you realize this, you sing, da, 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 da. Hear that space between the dotted 8 and the 32nd? I'm guessing that's probably not what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
And then when they played, they didn't put the space in, but what they did was da, da, da. There was kind of a fading on the dotted 8, you know? So when we model for our band, make sure that you're really thinking about exactly the way you want them to play that, because they're gonna, without even thinking about it, they're gonna hear what you're doing, and they're gonna do something that approximates that. So just really think carefully about what you're gonna say.
Even if you're speaking exactly what you want, you're saying in words, then if you model it differently, they're going to do what you modeled,
Yeah.
more than what you said in words. So start there. Start there again. You can add more people in.
Good. Everyone start at 17. really like the trumpet dynamics. I'm glad it wasn't like super loud. It definitely flowed with where we are so far in the piece. We're not to the high point, so we're still building up. Tuba, string bass. I think sometimes the quarter notes got a little heavy. They're a little heavy. When I think about this, we are thinking about like the beat low. We don't want like, not really heavy. This is still kind of like in the background. I see the soldiers or I see the tank kind of moving in the background. So we want to definitely be able to support the cornet. I mean, he's muted. So we definitely want to support our cornet voice without overpowering him.
So pick a spot right now that they can practice that exact thing you said.
Great.
And remember,
Let's start right at 25.
remember, feedback right when they're done about that specific thing, right?
Right at 25. Let's specifically hear, let's hear solo and low voices. The dotted 8/16. Da, 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 da. I mean, there is some, but it's not as much as you put just right then. That was way better, Tuba. Thank you. I know you had to have to suppress yourself. I'm used to sitting on the back row, so gotta kind of hold back. We'll get there. Good solo. Great. I like what you're doing, trombone.